Welcome to the Bump, Draft and Pray podcast. I am your host, Pedro Barbosa, and with me I have my good friend, Earl Goddard. Good evening.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I would be better if it was a more entertaining racing weekend, but still have a bit of stuff to talk about. Not much, to be honest, but...
Standard Baku. Baku boring.
Yeah, it was not as mayhem-y as... and this is a play on words with the next race. Mayhem-me. I'm a dad, so dad jokes are allowed. As previous Baku, or it's Baku Grand Prix or Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan Grand Prix, yeah. As it used to be, so it was more of a standard Grand Prix, but not a standard race weekend. Not really. But before that, let's comment on the news that we had just before the weekend started, which was that there's a shake-up in AlphaTauri at AlphaTauri. So Franz Tost has been booted in favor of the man that I should know the name, but basically
Ferrari fella.
Yeah, the Ferrari fella with a very nice goatee. Is joining. How do you see this situation? Obviously, Franz Tost is a very well-regarded team principal within Formula One and long time at the what's on called Firenze, or the old
Firenze.
Firenze, where the old Minardi was, and then Toro Rosso, and now AlphaTauri. How do you see the situation, and what can this bring to the future of the team?
Well, like you say, he's either been booted or he's left because he's going to appear somewhere else in the future and he's gone on gardening leave. And there's a few teams coming in, so I don't know enough about it to fully say whether Ferrari would have kicked him, because he's very good at what he does. He's very good at Alpha, so...
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Rui, yesterday in the Portuguese podcast, was implying that it may be one move for Red Bull to sell the team, but I don't see it as that, because if they are just going to sell the team, it makes no sense to change team principles, because the people that are going to buy the team will want their man there and not the newly appointed Red Bull man.
Yeah, they're not going to do that. So, yeah, it does make no sense. But then it's Formula One. When does it ever make sense?
Yeah, and it's actually very funny, because when we have rumors that the team is going from Italy to the UK, to Milton Keynes, basically, they employ an Italian team principal, which is a bit odd, let's say the least.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah, I don't really see the point on all of this, but we'll have to wait and check if it's just a change, if it's heads rolling, because AlphaTauri hasn't been performing this year.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's either going to pop up somewhere in the near future and you go, that explains it, or he's not going to pop up and you go, he was cold just because they needed someone to blame. So it's like, right, you're gone.
Although by Alpine's performance this weekend, maybe he'll pop up there. But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. But yeah, so this was a sprint weekend, but it was a strange weekend. They decided to try a few things out, and one of them was having two different qualifying sessions. One for on Friday we had qualifying for the Sunday Grand Prix, and on Saturday morning we had the sprint shootout for the sprint race. Um, were you as confused as me with the whole thing and having?
No, I wasn't confused with what was going on, but it was. You can tell it's owned by Americans now. It's very much. I don't think it makes sense. I don't think it increases the excitement or the spectacle of the weekend in any way.
It gave
Yeah,
them an opportunity to try the tire allocation in the qualifying thing, because they had for the sprint shootout you could only use medium tires for Q1 and Q2, and then softs on Q3, which I thought it was a missed opportunity to go hard, medium, soft.
But it didn't. Well, yeah, that would have made sense. But I suppose too many of the teams would moan if it was a track that didn't suit the hard tyres. You would. I mean, at the end of the day, was qualifying any different from the normal qualifying to the shootout qualifying?
Not really.
No, and it never will be unless you have inclement weather or one of the big boys has mechanical failure or shunts.
Yeah.
Just the way the sport is at the moment, it's so defined in people's pace that, I mean, the only surprise really was that the red car put it on pole for both races. But then we know how good Charles is at that place over one lap.
Yeah, and it really suited qualifying because Ferrari brought a very low downforce rear wing, unlike Red Bull, which had more of a not high downforce, but more of a
additional middle.
Yeah, traditional middle of the road rear wing, and with the long straight, which it's not. It has some corners, but they are, let's face it, they are flat out.
Yeah, but then having said that, in the first race, Sergio quite easily pulled past was Charles with a bit of DRS, not really. You know, he drove past him and drove away from him. So
yeah.
We know how good the Red Bull is.
Oh.
You know, let's not confuse ourselves. But it was just nice to see the Ferrari actually be able to turn up and put it up there and actually mix it in quali. Yeah, I think we all knew that there's no chance of them staying there, but
yeah, well, I actually want to talk about another team because it kind of overlaps with that. Because we had a team which brought a new rear wing that really, it's not that the rear wing didn't work, but it was the DRS on the rear wing that didn't work for the first 2 days, which was Aston Martin. Could we have seen Mr. Fernando Alonso a bit more up the field in qualifying, making it so that he could actually challenge the Leclerc on the races?
Possibly.
Because he was like, he finished like a few tenths of Leclerc on the actual Grand Prix.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he obviously would have got him closer. How much of a difference? It just don't know.
Yeah, but it's one. I don't know, because we have a lot of teams bringing updates, pretty big update packages.
Well, this was the weekend McLaren were going to solve all their issues. The Baku update.
I think they have a few more for.
Well, they best hope they do.
Uh,
I mean, no, they were a lot better than previously.
yeah, they had
But
new floor edges mainly, and they worked quite nicely. We had for the first time we had both Williams and both McLarens out of Q1, and then both McLarens out of Q2 on the main qualifying, which was
yeah. No, I think they've made a good, sizable step forward. It's just relative to everyone else.
yeah. So yeah, we had again. This almost feels like last year, but not as close. What I mean about that is Ferrari being faster on Saturdays and then Red Bull being faster on Sundays. So for the race, I think you can see it miles away that the Red Bull is much better on the tires and is able to maintain a more consistent pace throughout the tire's life and can stretch the life of the tire a lot more than Ferrari.
Particularly the number 11 car.
Yeah, particularly the number 11 car for this weekend. And we'll go there because it was actually impressive in my eyes for what I thought the number 11 could do. Although Sergio has always gone very good on particular track.
Yeah, he seems I think his smooth style seems to suit street circuits, maybe the bumpy nature of the track and just being gentle on the car is probably what gets him around as fast as it does versus Charles throwing the car around to get it around and get the time out. You know, he was dragging everything and Sergio was just stroking it along nice and easy. Let's not get in a panic. Everything's just nice and easy, and hence why you can do whole Grand Prix on 4-day-old tyres and be fine.
Yeah, he even had a cool radio moment where he touched one of the walls. I think on. Oh, I'm going to butcher the corner. Baku.
It's all been turn 3 and turn 5. They were touching the wall.
No, but it was not even that. It was turn 15. So the second to last real corner of the track. So just when they start to
the downhill.
Yeah. Where Sargent put it the wall on Q1. He had a moment there and he touched the wall with his rear right, and he came on the radio just saying, "Oh, I scraped there." It was not a panic situation like others that touched a little bit and they were immediately on the radio saying, check my tires. But yeah, it was kind of funny to have that interaction. So we had, like you said, Leclerc on pole for both races. Then we got to the sprint race and we had our first big argument of the weekend, which was Mr. Max Verstappen and Mr. George Russell got it into a bit of a fight. And it was a very nice fight where George understeered a bit, let's say, on T2 and actually hit the Red Bull of Max Verstappen, and they had a biggish argument.
Heated discussion.
Yeah, we can call it that, but I don't think George gave Max much opportunity to really blow things up.
No, it wasn't. I mean, let's be honest. It comes down to Max is having done to him what he's done to everyone else over the years, The difference is now he's concentrating on championships and not just winning the odd race here and there. And he's now the man, the number one car, and he's thinking about that. So anyone comes near him, and he's like, "Well, what are you doing?"
Yeah, and don't you think that might be as well a bit of I've been doing this all of these years, and I've been very heavily criticized for it, and now that I'm in the position that I don't really want people to do this for me, I'm going to play just because I'm world champion and I'm a big dog, and I want to let people know that how ridiculous it was back then.
And the thing is, it wasn't particularly hard or particularly aggressive. It was too wide on a 90-degree corner, and it could have been a lot worse. As George could have, if he wanted to, could have had him over properly.
Yeah.
But it was fair, hard racing. But naturally, one team's always going to call murder than the other team, and they have to do it because it's the PR and it's the way this sport works now. Is anything happens, you've got to be straight on the radio going, he did this. It just almost to give the stewards a nudge and say, go and look at it.
Yeah. Nothing special, like I said on our Discord, and we were actually talking about that. So then the sprint race was won by Sergio, and the results, I think Leclerc got second on the sprint race. Yeah, and then Verstappen, Russell, Sainz, Alonso, Hamilton, Stroll, Albon, and then Piastri. So, it was one of those races where some drivers didn't really, because they didn't have all that many tires, and one of them was Lando. He didn't have any decent tires for the sprint, so he just chucked a used set of softs, if I'm not mistaken. Then had to pit on the sprint race, which was game over.
Yeah.
But the rest was pretty same racing, and I
don't get this. The little sprint race, qualifying sprint race, whatever it was on the set, just because it doesn't. No one is throwing their car down the inside on the last lap or any lap to try and get a point, because it's not worth it in the grand scheme of things. The reward for risk variable isn't big enough.
I do agree that it's more worth it if you think you're going to start the race on the next day a little bit farther forward. I think it's more of a
if they do, there has to be something bigger. At the moment, they're just driving around, trying not to get in the wall and hopefully pick up a couple of points. Because let's be honest, is it only the top 8?
Top
it's
10.
Different points. Still the top 10, is it?
Yeah, still top 10. No, it's top 8 actually. Actually, I said top 10 yesterday. It was top 8. Yeah.
That's the thing. So there's 2 Ferraris, 2 Red Bulls, 2 Mercedes, 2 Astons,
and then that's it.
So everyone else is like, it is just get your car through it and don't save the engine and don't hurt it. And
I don't know.
I don't.
I prefer on the sprint weekends thing. I prefer the original sprint weekend because it makes a little bit more sense for people to risk a little bit more and start a little bit ahead for the race. And you can actually then see this all the way the grid because you have something to gain. If you're P15, you have nothing to gain after the first 2 or 3 laps. Just park and let's be done with it.
And to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if the likes of Williams and that decided to do that to save engine mileage and that park the car. And we've got our grid spot for tomorrow anyway. And then the FIA is going to start imposing that it's mandatory. You have to complete it. And Yeah, I don't know. I just not. I can't say I hate it. Hate's a strong word, but I think it's got to be done better than it is being done at the moment.
Yeah. True. But I do think that the qualifying player location, they might have something. Yeah, they could have if it was hard, medium, and soft. I think they could have something there too.
Or soft, medium, hard.
Or soft,
Q3's
medium,
got to
hard.
be on the hard. Yeah.
That would be even better.
So everyone's got good tyres for the first one, so you might get an outlier like a Magnussen who gets a good lap, like a Brazil. So you could get someone sneak through. Q2's just middle of the run, and then Q3, I know, is supposed to be the fastest session with low fuel and everything, but it wasn't low fuel because they all filled up and kept driving round.
Yeah.
Yeah, do them on hards. That'd be awesome. That'd be good.
Yeah. I do agree. So yeah, then we had the actual Grand Prix, which was, let's say, not very exciting.
Boring.
And the most noticeable thing that we had from the Grand Prix was basically Red Bull overreacting for a possible safety car and saving Verstappen of being overtaken on track.
Yeah, I mean, you could, conspiracy theorists will say that they did that to save his ego. I think it is the nature. How many times have we seen Mercedes and all the teams do it where it is, excuse me, safety or possible safety car, full course yellow, and they go, right, okay, first guy who gets in the pits and gets to go, and too close to double stack him and everything. But it's unfortunate. It's just one of those racing things where any other day he would have come out and it would have affected Perez when he pitted. So
yeah,
I think it's a bit strong to suggest that they pulled him in to save him.
I was only trying to have something to talk about.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's the sort of thing that F1 would do just to make it, find a mechanical gremlin on his car, which is why he had lack of pace. But
yeah, I do agree that it was basically some circumstances that made it like that, because the safety car was actually, I thought, a bit too slow to come out.
agreed.
I think it should be faster than that, and we actually had a couple of incidents that should have been done a bit better safety-wise, and I'm not even talking about what we're going to talk about from the end of the race.
No, bloody Snowda. I don't know what they were thinking.
No, then now you lost me.
Yuki driving around.
Oh, that was on the sprint. Yeah.
Was that sprint? Okay, yeah. That's how boring they were. I've got two races mixed together.
Yeah, that was. I heard somewhere that Yuki said that the car wasn't all right, and basically second guessing the team before they set him out.
Yeah,
like,
it was just.
Is this really? And it was completely crooked, the right rear.
Oh yeah, it was FUCK.
Completely. But then we had the incident on the Grand Prix with De Vries, where talk about the driver that came with a lot of promise, and he's looking a bit like amateur, let's say.
He's looking like getting replaced half season.
Yeah.
He is in the Red Bull after all.
And it's not like they don't have a Ricardo on the sidelines.
Well, not even that. They've even got Lawson.
Lawson, yeah.
Yeah, Lawson's got a super license, so
Yeah.
there's plenty of people. If I remember correctly, isn't Albon still a Red Bull driver?
Yeah, but he has a contract with Williams. I don't know how
Yeah,
that would
yeah,
process.
money,
Yeah, but
money.
does
But I don't
does
think he would
Albon
leave now. I think he's
want to do that? I
quite
doubt it.
settled. But yeah, I think De Vries needs to have some serious results in the next few races.
Actually, Yuki has been driving quite well.
Because exactly, Yuki's not exactly regarded as the best in the world, but he's making this GP2 Formula E world champion look mediocre.
Yeah. Quite very nice.
So yeah,
Yeah, we have to take that into account. I don't think if it doesn't like turn it around, I don't think it will be there until the end of the year.
no,
Uh, I
no,
doubt
I
it will.
think he'll be gone.
Me too. Um. So yeah, and then so we had all of that, and then Sergio got ahead because he actually had his pits up on the safety car. So he was ahead of Max, and then was gone.
Drove
Sergio
off into
just
sunset.
drove off into the sunset, and it was yeah, basically. And then Leclerc had no pace for any of the Red Bulls. I mean, Alonso seemed like he had pace for Leclerc, and actually he finished 6 cents behind Leclerc in the end. I mean, Alonso was pulling fastest laps, or was trading fastest laps with the Red Bulls at the end of the race, which was
Yeah,
kind of
I think Leclerc was doing just enough with his battery to stay out of DRS and just to stay, and he had enough just to stay like hold station, as it were.
yeah,
And that's
because
what it looked like.
yeah, the Assen isn't very good on top speed. It hasn't been from the beginning of the season, so that uh, might have played a part on it, or a little bit of a part on it. And then we have so that's where it finished. Our top eight, it was a standard top eight, apart from Russell, which on the restart lost a lot of places and then couldn't get near Stroll. Stroll couldn't get near Hamilton. Hamilton basically was behind Sainz the entire
And was
race.
he even at the weekend?
Hamilton, yeah.
Yeah, was he even at the races? I don't know. Never saw him.
And then Carlos, which he was massively off the pace from Leclerc, but Carlos doesn't go very well at Baku. I don't think it's his liking of the track. Then Alonso was doing a lot of things and passing people and being the only one overtaking people.
Telling Lance what brake bias to run.
Oh, did you get that very big crash that Stroll basically did a Vries on the same corner and didn't break his car? That I mean that Aston must be overweight for sure, because it takes
That's why they got
everything.
the top speed. Yeah,
That's what, because it takes every punishment that they throw at that car.
they seem just to be lucky, don't they?
The
The years roll in their way.
Yeah, it was a big bump on the inside. The puff of paint and all that stuff. It was amazing to see, and didn't break his suspension. It was quite funny actually. And then behind all of those, we had the best of the rest, and now the best of the rest is P9, and it was Mr. Lando Norris, doing a textbook race. It was not a standard race because Ocon and Magnussen basically didn't want to pit, so they were there front of them. And this is the other thing, that when we have a best of the rest so far away, or Formula 1.5 or what you want to call it, so far away from the rest, Norris didn't even try to pass Magnussen and Ocon, because he knew that he couldn't get Russell, so
he just waited and
it's just waiting. And then Mr. Tsunoda in P10, confirming his good performance this weekend. It was a very nice weekend in qualifying and in the race. So basically it was that. Then the only other thing that happened was Ocon pitted on the last lap, and
they think it's all over.
Yeah, had to slalom VIPs and photographers and all that.
Yeah, all the photographers. It was almost like they went, "Oh, the Red Bulls won the race. Okay, everyone start setting up." You know, it's like he's crossed the line, start setting up.
But he hadn't crossed the line.
But it's.
It didn't have. I mean, this is what is frustrating, and it's not the first time that it happens, but this time was a bit more, a bit harder to swallow, just because it was on pit entry, and although it is a very big straight, on pit entry you have like a fast chicane thing, and it's not like really visible, the entry.
And let's be honest, the pit entry is at super high speed.
Yeah, super high speed. So it was, and Ocon had to.
It was ridiculous. Let's be honest, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous.
If that had been any other sport, any other race than F1, the FIA would be doing their absolute nutting, calling all sorts of things about how bad the safety is.
And this was my question yesterday, because we have, I don't know how this is processed, because they do this for every race. So the leader is about to finish the race and they start doing all that stuff. It happened with Albon last year in Melbourne, when he pitted on the last lap and he was getting out. There were people in the middle of the road as well, some VIPs and stuff. So obviously there are some regulations during the race for what people can cross the pit lane, and let's not get that the fast lane on the pit lane is a racing. It's racing, basically. People are racing there. I know it's a pit lane and you have pit lane speed limits, but it's still an active track. Still an active track. So for sure there are regulations for how to proceed in crossing that track, that part of the track. So my question is, don't you have to have clearance if you're not a part of the race team? Don't you have to have clearance to cross
you'll need
active?
You'll have credentials and pit lane passes and all sorts. A lot of it was media, so they will have media clearance. But if they've all been sent to a certain garage, and then the circuit promoters are then ushering them out to get them in position to take the photo as they pull up to the boards with first, second, third, they're just following what they've been told to do.
So that's what so the race director or whoever has the power to let people cross probably someone has to say that.
There'll be someone, and not necessarily FIA, but someone from the circuit who is holding the media back to then, from marketing and PR who are then going to usher them all out to make sure they get at the front of the queue to get the pictures. They're not necessarily the FIA or race directors, obviously still looking at the race. But I would have thought someone would have been looking down and going, what's going on here? We're still racing. But then, like you say, also a lot of the times, that's normally at the end of pit lane.
Yeah, it shouldn't
Doesn't
be.
make it any better, but
Make it matter. No, it doesn't, and it has to be something that has to be studied.
should never happen.
And should never
Just
happen.
as simple as that. We shouldn't be having this discussion about how to fix it because it shouldn't.
Yeah, and we had almost this situation last year, and they continued to do exactly the same thing for every race from last year to this year, and I think some people
I suggest they'll probably do something
accountable.
different. They'll probably do something different at the next race just to prove a point that they've changed the protocol to look like they've done something. But it's one of those things. I don't think they'll do anything until there's actually an incident.
I mean, at least you don't do that before the. It's hard to word this part because it's basically regulating a sport, but at least the car in front of the last car in front of the leader that is going to basically finish the race has passed the pit lane or the
start of the slowdown lap.
Yeah. No, not even start a slowdown. So until the last car that's on track in front of the leader that's going to start his last lap has crossed the line, you shouldn't have anyone cross the pit lane for that kind of activity, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because when the leader passes everyone, when the leader sees the checkered flag, everyone that is behind him is going to get checkered flag as well. So the last guy to cross the finish straight in front of the leader is the last guy that is going to get the proverbial white flag. I don't think they have white flags at F1, but
it's not an oval.
It's not an oval. So the white flag, for people that don't know, it's the flag that is waved at ovals
last lap.
For the last lap.
It's also like American. It's very American.
Yeah, very American thing. But it works, man. They should implement that on F1. It works. And
something else for them to get wrong, though. Someone will wave the wrong flag.
Unless they put models waving it.
they'll put the checkered out a lap early because they pick up the wrong flag.
Oh, man. Don't make me say something that I'll regret.
Say it.
No, I won't. So yeah, this has to be checked, and something has to be done. Definitely. One of those
100%. 100%.
Has to be done. Something has to be done. So yeah, let's just talk a little bit about the midfield / bottom of the grid teams, because I was actually, and I don't like to rub salt on the wounds, but how do we see Alpine's situation? Because they were one of the teams that brought the biggest upgrades, and they were very bullish about the upgrades that they brought and all that stuff.
And they were just mediocre all weekend and nothing.
You're too nice.
I'm a nice kind of guy. Yeah, they didn't. There was nothing to go. Oh, they're looking all right, or they've got potential. I didn't even notice them until Gasly had a few
Explosions.
issues, and they knock on at the end. But much like a certain number 44, I didn't even know they were in the race. You know, they were just meh.
Yeah, I was actually very disappointed. We made a prediction yesterday that Alpine is going to be one of the teams sold before the next regulation change, engine regulations change. And I
Could be.
kind of see it now.
They've got form in Renault doing that, haven't they?
Yeah, but let's be honest, Renault is a state-owned company, and French are a bit tired of putting money into Renault, and the Alpine brand isn't really what they have a team on the grid because they sell one car, one model of car. Doesn't really make all that sense, the rebranding to Alpine. And then how many Grand Prix are we into the certain amount of Grand Prix to be world champions? I don't know, I lost count already. Already I've lost count a long time ago. So it's starting to feel like it's just dissolving.
Matter of time.
Yeah, it does seem like that. So the question now is if Renault is going to continue as a engine supplier or not, I think. As if they don't. Actually, there were a few rumors of McLaren being having a new engine for the new regulations and being the sole engine customers, or being, how do you say, when it was Red Bull with the Renault, the only ones with the Renault, they were the not constructor, but
yeah, like the factory team, but
the
not
factory
factory team.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just crossed my mind. Just crossed my mind right now.
I don't
Because
know that one.
the Honda is for the grabs as well. Yeah. Did I confuse you? Because Red Bull is going for it.
Yeah, no, I know. I saw the wonderful launch.
The wonderful launch with the electric Fords. And
Yeah.
the 2023 car that it was definitely not the 2022 car with the same livery and everything, and just one different sponsor.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know. These engine things, they're normally fairly well known about before they officially announce them, but still got plenty of time yet.
yeah, we have like 2 years. Is it 3 years? 2026. So 2.5 years.
Yeah.
2.5 years. So yeah, the other team that it's at the back, and at this point I don't see them evolving, is the other Alfa Romeo.
No, they're just gonna.
They are rubbish this year.
They're just gonna plod on until
Audi.
they become Vorsprung dust.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, Ferrari aren't going to throw massive help into them.
No, definitely.
So that bridge is gone. So it's now just what can we do to get by and basically do a Haas or a Williams for a couple of years to get through to.
They must try some stuff, but not to try and understand how to package. How the best way would be for them to package the power unit. They are going 6-cylinder until the end of the year. They will have a ICE, so internal combustion engine. They already have the single cylinder design. So the way they do it, they design a single cylinder ICE kind of thing, and then they expand that to to the V6. So they are planning on having a working V6 till the end of the year. So they will want to know how they are going to package the whole thing, and of course the gearbox, and after that you have the rear suspension, and it's very important for how to package all that. It's all interconnected, and the casing, the gearbox casing with the suspension, and how that will then works with the underfloor with for these new regulations is very important. So they might try some stuff there, but I do think that car is going to be a guinea pig until 2026.
Yeah, 100%.
So good luck, Mr. Bottas and Mr. Zhu, until 2026.
Valtteri's just cashing in the checks.
Oh, massively. He has bought did you see this on the news? He bought the Finnish MotoGP track that they were building. Yeah. He's now a proud owner of a Finnish track. Maybe we will see it in Formula 1.
Well, they're saying it's got an FIA license. It needs a bit of work, but
I actually don't know how the track is, the track layout.
No idea.
We can actually try and put something on the. Yeah, but kind of looks okay. Has a few. I can try and put it on screen. I don't know if you will see it. But I can try and do an
over me.
Impromptu. An impromptu.
There we go.
There we go.
Kind of looks alright.
Looks alright. Looks like it can work. Oh, it's
fast and flowing. Yeah.
Yeah. It does look alright. Oh, we don't want to see the actual websites. So it actually looks like it can be something. It's like the first part of the track kind of looks like Suzuka-ish. And it opens up a little bit. So it might actually work for Formula 1. Has a big straight, so DRS zone, a back straight. So they might change because it looks like what I'm calling the back straight might be where the pit. Yeah, it's the front straight for MotoGP, but they might do it on the other side. So 2 DRS zones, and yeah, it might actually be a good place to actually go racing. So nice.
And the fact they want to do 700 races a year, they'll need more tracks.
Yeah. Yeah, it actually, I would quite like, kind of gives me Mugello-ish and / Suzuka-ish vibes. I don't know why.
Yeah, I can definitely see Suzuka there.
Suzuka in this part, or Fuji, or that part.
Even Zandvoort.
Even Zandvoort, yeah. So it might work. It's not one of those tracks that only looks like it's going to work for MotoGP. Because we do have some of those tracks. One of them I talked about, Mugello, didn't really work for Formula 1, I think.
No.
But it works really well for...
it's a mega bike track.
Mega bike track. Mega. Let's not talk about bikes, because they actually were able to injure Portuguese man again. Let's not talk about bikes.
It's being victimized.
Victimized 2 times this year. 2 times, 2 world champions injuring our good rider. Let's talk about other things. So I'm surprised that we went as far as 50 minutes of podcast, to be honest, because there wasn't all that much to talk about. But that's it. So Sergio dominated the weekend. Red Bull dominated.
Good on him. I think we haven't said that. It's like I think it wasn't a gifted thing like you used to see in the days with Barrichello and that, and they'd be gifted the odd race here. You know, he legit outdrove Max all weekend.
Oh, definitely. Not to
And
say
I
that I'm
think,
not surprised. I am surprised.
oh no,
But
so am
yeah.
I. I didn't expect him to be that. I knew he would be closer just because he goes well at that kind of circuit. But yeah, he definitely had the battling of Max. I think if it had come to it.
Oh, definitely. I do
But
think that it was pass Max. No
I
team
don't think
orders.
it.
I think it was an easy job. Pass
But I
him and
don't
then
think it would
go.
have come to that. I think they would have stopped it.
Yeah. So fortunately, they didn't get the chance to
Didn't.
stop it.
Woohoo for
And
the safety car.
yeah. So next we go to Miami, and we do have water in the fake marina this year, apparently.
Oh,
So, and it's looking like we might actually have a bit of rain for Sunday. Although how the weather predictions have been here in Portugal, I do think that weather is not been very reliable.
I know.
Yes.
It's dreadful. We're saying one thing and we're getting completely the opposite.
Yeah. So let's see. It's a bit far away. I don't actually. I could check the Miami weather for Sunday. Um, we're doing all impromptu things today on the podcast.
Living in the moment.
Yeah. So currently it's no, yeah. They're actually saying rain for Sunday. 40% chance of rain, 70% humidity, and 24 kph of wind. So yeah, let's hope for that. I do
Yeah, a
think,
bit of rain will make it exciting.
yeah, kind of a street race. Yeah, it's a street race. It has some parts that are a bit similar to something of a permanent track, but it's still a street race. So street race. I do seem to remember that the asphalt was very slippery last year. Um, so that plus a track that isn't really used plus rain should give us
Be
actually
fun.
would be fun. Blind corners, rain, slippery cars. Yeah, I'm all in for that.
Crash fest. Be wreck fest.
Wreckfest, Formula One Wreckfest. Just no people on track before the race stops. And I'm waiting for the police parade or the podium, guys. If you do remember that the
Yeah.
podium was actually miles away from the track. They had to go by police escort.
Good old America.
Yeah, let's see what the shenanigans will be for this year. So, thank you guys for seeing here live on YouTube, for listening on the podcast or seeing the recordings. We'll be back again next week. We do have the Miami GP this week, and we'll do the race review next week, both in Portuguese and in English. If you want to listen to both, or you are Portuguese and want to listen to Portuguese one, I do the Portuguese podcast with Rui Palmas. Usually the day before we do the English one. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Follow us on all the socials and all that stuff. Follow Earl Goddard at Earl Goddard on Twitter. Don't follow me. I don't want any creeps behind me, so don't follow me. Leave me alone. Joking. I just don't do social media. All that.
Yes, you're old.
I am the old one. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you next week.
See you later.
Bump, Draft and Pray is an independent podcast, and the music was by Latin Punks Know.